We are at Amnesty International in London, where the NGO is presenting its latest report on the current state of human rights in 160 countries in the world.
This has been a terrible year for the protection of civilians, really right around the world. So from Nigeria to Gaza, from Syria to Ukraine, we've seen horrific things happening right around the world. We have a number of suggestions we have put on the table. Perhaps the central suggestion is, and recommendation call is for the United Nations Security Council, the permanent 5 members of the Council, to voluntarily renounce their use of the veto. At the moment we see different governments are ready to use the veto to protect the ones they don't want to be put under pressure. We need to see an end to that for the sake of civilians all around the world.
The 2014 Israel's Protective Edge military offensive killed more than 1,500 civilians in Gaza and caused huge devastation, Amnesty said. Salem Al-Qudwa, an architect from Gaza, was present at the Amnesty conference to give his account of the life of Palestinians under the Israeli occupation.
After the attacks, the situation is really so hard because, there is a complete destruction for the infrastructure within the Gaza Strip, which is a very small piece of land and one of the most populated. People are not going enough fund in order, which enables them to rebuild and to rehabilitate their houses and destructed buildings because, the complicated mechanism for letting building material to enter the Gaza Strip is very complicated, and still people have to get cement through vouchers exactly as food parcels, and even the prices are very high and very expensive. International community should stop this thing, putting a limit, because the people just want to live ordinary and normal and simple life exactly like others. Dignity is the most important thing. Freedom of movement. We are living in the largest prison on earth. You could not even plan for tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
In its report, Amnesty found that over 4,000 people died in the conflict in eastern Ukraine in 2014, and many civilian deaths resulted from the indiscriminate use of force by both rebels and the government forces. Yulia Chechyotkina, a journalist from Avdiivka, just outside rebel-held Donetsk, is calling for the international community to help end the civil war.
We weren't ready for this war because it is Ukraine. It is Ukraine. It is peace-loving country, and not only people weren't ready. Our country weren't ready. Our government weren't ready. And after all these months of war, we still don't know what to do. And I hope that this last ceasefire will work. But as I can see, it doesn't work. Just a few days ago, in my native town, in Avdiivka, 3 people were killed just because unpredictable bombarding. And people just live ordinary life and let them live. It doesn't matter who will win, really. Right now it doesn't matter.
Amnesty report also highlighted that the insurgents of terror group ISIS, started last summer, has caused thousands of deaths and prompted hundreds of thousands to flee their homes in Iraq and the already war-torn Syria. The terror group is renowned for its persecution of non-Sunni and non-Muslims, with the Yazidi community most bearing the brunt of this devastating uprising.
The Yazidis have been very much within their sight. They abducted thousands of civilians, many of them women and girls and other children, girls as young as 13, 14. And they killed many men of fighting age, but who were civilians. Certainly some of the men I spoke to had survived large-scale massacres. They told me that they had hidden under dead bodies and they were left for dead. I met some of the women and girls who were able to escape from ISIS captivity, and really the stories that they told me were absolutely harrowing. Some of them told me that they wanted to kill themselves, but they were told by their captors that if they killed themselves, their families would be killed. I don't know how these women and girls are going to be able to rebuild their lives, because the trauma that they endured is really quite extraordinary.